term for music. The role of music in movements and Afro-solidarity included things like Rastafarianism and the Harlem Renaissance. The history of electronic music, including the spiritual, communal, chemical elements and links to the civil rights and gay communities. Several explored music in film. One looked at zoomusicology and biomusic. Another of my very forward-thinking engineers looked at whether there was a grammar for music, and there were a lot of equations on the board that I had no clue about, but it was great. Several have looked at mathematics and music, sound in the womb, how can music, as one student said, in quotes, play us like an instrument, and the study of chills and the like. The students' experiences actually, I think, are best found in their own words. One of the things I said, it's highly reflective. They start with filling out information the first day, which I give back to them about their own ideas about the power of music toward the end of the class, and their final reflections are to look through all the reflections and how things have changed for them. So I thought I would just share a few of their own words, because I think this is basically their words that's the best. The first says, although I came into class knowing music was a powerful force, I think I did not comprehend just how encompassing it was. Taking this class has broadened my views of music, what it means, how it's made, and its effects in ways I did not anticipate it to. Like I said, it's reframed how I approach music and has given me a chance for introspection on how music affects me, society, and the world, unquote. This next was one of my musicians in the class, and I have to say, when I read this, I wept, because it's where I would like all of my music students to be at some point. So they say, I put so much of myself into self-abuse over how imperfect my music is. It's just not good enough. Not good enough for my professor and not good as my peers. I think this class is exactly what I needed to realize if this is the way I'm going to try to succeed in music, I'm doing it wrong. A lot of music is about the pursuit of perfection. That is true. But the reality is that perfection does not exist, and if I spend all of my time chasing an impossible ghost, I will lose sight of the point of music in the first place. That point being to reach people. To just for a moment show someone an emotional piece of yourself that may otherwise never get out. It's to change people, to make people get up and dance, or to bring them to their knees in sorrow. It's to help us deal with the fact that we exist in this universe and that we may never know why. It's to use our gifts in a noble way to help people to spread our art, tolerance, and love for the world, one person at a time, unquote. The next student says, 10 weeks ago, we were asked whether musicals is powerful and why. I answered, listing example after example of exactly how I thought music was powerful. Throughout the last several weeks, I learned that the power of music extends far beyond the scope of my understanding. Music can create friendships and truths where previously there was anger, misunderstanding, and distrust. Music gives people a sense of unity and oneness. It can cross cultural and racial boundaries. It's capable of starting movements, soothing nerves, and relieving pain. I learned that there are very few things that music cannot do. I leave this class wondering if music's power comes from some sort of spiritual awakening, allowing humans to transcend what we believe ourselves capable of, if even for the shortest period of time, unquote. And the last student I'm going to quote says, there are a couple of major takeaways that everyone should be aware of, whether you took this class or not. The first is, our Western world doesn't sing enough. When was the last time you sang? When was the last time you sang with other people? We like to think that the only correct way to sing is with scrubbed audio and all the imperfections removed. I will say that singing can and should be done by everyone, regardless of what you think of your voice. The second is that you have the power to find and play the music that's powerful for you. Don't be afraid of what makes you move, sway, and bob your head. So put it out there. I love listening to Bobby McFerrin. Who do you like listening to? Unquote. So we end each course with a celebration of music, which is usually a performance art piece that I write during the last 2 weeks while they're all presenting their research. And I try to utilize the students' expertise and talents, even if they're not musicians, within the work. My favorite one was framed around a poem by William Aoy, which I stole for the title of this work, from a book, Small Things That Matter, called Anyone Can Sing. Something that we all during the class became to believe and work with. So I leave the students with 2 questions to ponder as they leave the course, and I'll leave you with those questions today. First is, whoops, sorry. Now you know the answer. What makes your heart sing? And part of the answer to that actually is your definition of what music is, and what is music to my ears, because that's what makes our hearts sing. The second question regards whether music can be the answer, or at least part of an answer to whatever question you ask. As one of my students reflected, and that's what's in your program, quote, music has power so strong it can carry and lift the whole world's weight, unquote. And I think many, at least in this class, would agree. And I want to leave with an example of one person that has sort of done that in her work. Her name's Chloe Goodchild, if you're not familiar with her. She's a performer and creator of what she calls her work is called the naked voice. She also has worked musically modified a famous Rumi quote, which you may recognize here, and challenged us to work with what she calls singing fields. So out beyond ideas of right and wrong doing, there is a field, and she adds, a singing field. I'll meet you there. And I want you to just hear it in Chloe's voice for just a second here.